Please subscribe and like for the latest updates. Or you can request your favorite manga in the comments below.
A woman with glasses appears, her expression one of surprise and a hint of allure. Her striking appearance is noted, but it does nothing to sway his gaze. His intense gaze fixes, his expression unwavering, as he states his grim perspective. His intense gaze seems to pierce through any facade, revealing a cold indifference. The woman, finding herself in an unprecedented situation, can only react with bewildered sounds. The woman, finding herself in an unprecedented situation, utters bewildered sounds. He declares, with absolute finality, that to him, all women are merely pigs. He is labeled a severe psycho. He accepts the label with a chilling calm, proclaiming his psychopathic nature to be god tier. His awakened profession is revealed, pig slayer, a title imbued with immense power. He proudly proclaims himself the god tier pig butcher, the sworn enemy of the entire pig clan. His stats are displayed, strength 5, agility 3, spirit 2, along with his potent talents like blood shadow butcher and god-slaying edge. His abilities grant him a staggering 100% damage increase against pigs and a 50% reduction in damage taken from them. He muses that being a psycho isn't so bad, finding a certain liberation in his detachment. The sheer number of pig-like beings before him, all seemingly expectant, fills the scene. They wait, a sea of porcine faces, oblivious to the judgment cast upon them. His gaze is intense, surrounded by an aura of power and monstrous figures. He acknowledges that with no distractions of the heart, his blade moves with unparalleled, divine speed, as a warning from Thunder Team flashes across the screen. A stark warning flashes across the screen, urging readers to support the platform by continuing their reading journey on n-thunderscans.com. It emphasizes their commitment to providing the best quality and translations. The title of the series appears, One Kill Pig Knife, Myriad World Stirring. A call to action follows, reinforcing the message to read at n-thunderscans.com to support the creators. The scene shifts to a pristine hospital, hinting at a medical setting, as a thought crosses someone's mind, if I didn't hear wrong. This suggests an inquiry or a misunderstanding. Inside the psychiatry department, a doctor is explaining a peculiar patient's condition, her brow furrowed in disbelief. She asks, "You're saying every living creature you see looks like a pig?" The doctor sits, a clipboard in hand, her alluring presence a stark contrast to the grim nature of the conversation. Her expression is one of intrigued skepticism. The doctor's eyes widen slightly, her hand adjusting her glasses as she questions, "Are you joking with me?" The absurdity of the patient's claim is evident in her reaction. Chuan remains seated, his expression unreadable as he processes the doctor's reaction to his truth. The doctor, her voice tinged with disbelief and a hint of concern, asks Chuan directly, "So in your eyes, I'm a pig too?" Without hesitation, Chuan confirms, "That's right." His unwavering gaze and blunt response leave the doctor stunned, a subtitle remarking, TL*WTF, capturing the surreal moment. The doctor muses aloud, the weight of the unusual diagnosis settling in. "I've never heard of a condition like this before." She admits, her professional curiosity piqued. A brief cut to a stylized close-up of the doctor, her gaze intense, as she thinks, such a handsome young man. A hint of admiration amidst the professional assessment. Shifting back to a more clinical tone, the doctor states, "Anyway, let's first check if your body functions are normal." She prepares to conduct a physical examination. The doctor directs her question to Chuan, her eyes searching his face for any reaction. "So what do you see right now?" she asks, eager for any change or confirmation. A flicker of vanity crosses the doctor's face, though it's quickly masked by a dismissive thought, "I don't believe it. I'm so beautiful, even in a madman's eyes. I can't be a pig." Chuan's eyes, intense and unwavering, are focused on the doctor. He maintains his consistent perception, seemingly unswayed by her vanity. The doctor's internal reaction continues, with another exasperated TL*WTFX2 appearing as she struggles to comprehend Chuan's unyielding delusion. Chuan's response is concise and definitive, "Two pigs." He doesn't elaborate, leaving the doctor to interpret his unsettling statement. The doctor's alarm grows, her face contorting in surprise and concern as she exclaims, "He really is mentally ill." Her professional assessment solidifies. The doctor's focus shifts from Chuan's mental state to his physical condition. "Your spine has serious problems," she declares, her voice sharp with discovery. She elaborates on her finding, explaining the severe deformity and twist in his spine that's compressing his brain and optic nerves, suggesting it as the root cause of his delusions. The doctor presents the grim prognosis, surgery is the only solution, but the risks are substantial, with a low success rate and the threat of paralysis if it fails. The dire consequence is spelled out, paralyzed from the neck down. The weight of this possibility hangs heavy in the air. Chuan, his expression now devoid of emotion, simply nods, acknowledging the doctor's explanation of the dire consequences. His patience wearing thin, Chuan interjects, his tone firm, "Doctor, are you done talking?" He seems to have heard enough about his condition. With a chilling calm that belies the doctor's grave news, Chuan asks, "Then can you give me back my spine?" His request is direct and unnervingly simple. The doctor, still processing Chuan's strange request about his spine, can only lament that such a handsome face is wasted on a condition that makes him believe his own model is his spine. She backs away, bewildered. A flash of purple energy streaks across the sky, hinting at a world of extraordinary potential. The bus rumbles along, a cacophony of city sounds filling the air. A reminder flashes, encouraging readers to support the platform at n-thunderscans.com for quality translations of One Kill Pig Knife, Myriad World Stirring. Amidst the bustling bus, Chuan sits, an island of calm, holding a sign that boldly declares, "My name is Chuan, severe mental illness." He looks directly ahead, the sign held steady. Chuan confesses his lifelong affliction, everything he sees appears as a pig. He muses that perhaps it's his parents' profession as pig butchers that caused this, but admits it's only dating that's truly been impacted. Today, however, is the day for his profession awakening. A shadow falls over him as he reflects on his condition, a hope for a cure before his awakening fading into resignation. He realizes it hasn't happened. The Grand Qingqing Academy, bathed in sunlight, stands as the site for the profession awakening ceremony. Chuan voices his concern, his brow furrowed in worry. Could his illness jeopardize his profession awakening? He knows the consequences would be dire. The atmosphere in the academy is electric with anticipation, students milling about, the air thick with nervous energy. Suddenly, a cheerful voice calls out, "Bro Chuan, you're finally here." Su Lingxian playfully threatens him, her eyes wide and earnest, "If you were late, I'd beat you up, got it?" The excited shouts of the crowd punctuate the moment, a raw, animalistic energy filling the air. Su Lingxian, undeterred, reiterates her playful threat, her expression firm. Students gather, their conversations a low murmur, some looking on with curiosity, others with judgment. Another student calls out to Su Lingxian, teasing her about her closeness to Chuan, questioning their constant togetherness. A bystander chimes in, speculating they might be childhood sweethearts destined for marriage and children after this awakening. Su Lingxian, flustered by the gossip, dismisses it, telling them to stop talking nonsense. She pulls Chuan away, urging him to ignore the chatter and line up for the ceremony. "Bro Chuan, let's ignore them," she urges, "line up according to your student number." The ceremony is about to start. The central summoning platform glows, a majestic crystal pulsing with power, ready to reveal their fates. The principal addresses the students, explaining that the awakening ceremony is a test of their learned skills, a chance to showcase their strength, spirit, and agility. He elaborates that higher attributes lead to better professions, emphasizing the lifelong impact of this crucial moment. Awakening is based on strength, agility, and spirit, he explains. The higher your attributes, the better your chances at awakening an advanced profession. During the ceremony, focus all your energy. The profession you awaken will affect your entire life. He stresses the glory that comes with an advanced combat profession, a path that defies fate and brings honor to the academy, before calling them to begin. If you awaken an advanced combat profession, the principal declares, it's like defying fate, admired by all, and bringing glory to Qingqing Academy. Let's begin. Place your hand on the stone platform. As the students begin to place their hands on the glowing platform, the air crackles with the promise of destiny. The awakening ritual begins, raw energy crackling around the crystal platform as a student reaches out, their hand hovering over its surface. The crystal pulses with intense light, revealing the student's profession, intermediate metalworker. Another student nervously anticipates their turn, their hands outstretched, ready to embrace their fate. With a surge of power, the crystal glows once more, bestowing upon the student the title of advanced healer. A cry of surprise erupts as the crystal's energy settles, announcing the birth of a junior engineer. A student braces themselves, taking a deep breath before stepping forward. They place their hand on the crystal, a mixture of determination and apprehension on their face, ready for whatever destiny has in store. The crystal explodes with power, a torrent of energy erupting as a new profession is revealed. The crowd watches with bated breath, the air thick with anticipation, especially for those who might awaken combat-oriented professions. Suddenly, an extraordinary profession emerges, one that sparks a ripple of awe through the onlookers, the shadowless bladesman. A collective gasp of astonishment fills the air, the words "it's a rare tear" echoing through the crowd. The principal addresses a student, asking for his name with a discerning gaze. Lu Jinglong proudly proclaims his name to the principal, a confident smirk on his face. The principal's smile widens, clearly impressed by Lu Jinglong's significant awakening. He congratulates Lu Jinglong, promising a future visit to discuss his promising path, while Lu Jinglong expresses his gratitude. A murmur of admiration sweeps through the students, buzzing about Lu Jinglong's remarkable success. The principal then calls out the next name, Chuan, and some students offer words of encouragement. Whispers begin to circulate about Chuan's unusually high stats, a stark contrast to his perceived odd behavior. The crowd murmurs in astonishment, processing the revelation that Chuan's combined stats are nearly triple the normal amount. Speculation rises among the students, a sense that something extraordinary might just happen with Chuan's awakening. Chuan approaches the crystal platform, his hands outstretched, his expression unreadable. As his hands make contact, the crystal begins to surge with immense power, far beyond anything witnessed before. A blinding golden light erupts from the platform, bathing the entire area in an overwhelming radiance. The crowd roars in astonishment and confusion, their eyes wide as the golden light intensifies, a spectacle defying all expectations. The principal, witnessing the unprecedented golden light, exclaims in sheer shock, asking if this truly could be happening. The air hummed with anticipation, a palpable tension preceding the next awakening. Then, the revelation struck like lightning, divine tear. It was true, undeniably divine tear, and it was of the life type. But the profession revealed was divine pig butcher. The sheer absurdity of it. A wave of disbelieving laughter swept through the crowd. Was this a cosmic joke? A glitch in the system? They debated if he was lucky or utterly cursed. For many, it was clear, the heavens themselves were playing a prank. The principal, who had yearned for a divine tear awakening for ages, could barely suppress his exasperation. Even a divine blacksmith, healer, or alchemist would have been cause for celebration. He mused that the higher the hopes, the greater the disappointment. He truly believed the student would achieve greatness. But instead, he felt like he'd just witnessed a monumental failure. With a heavy sigh, the principal addressed Chuan, resignation etched onto his face. Chuan, hearing the principal's call, was bewildered, wondering what all the fuss was about. Suddenly, a system interface shimmered into existence, displaying Chuan's stats and his unique talents, Swine Nemesis and Blade of Godslaying, along with his Blood Shadow Butcher skill. His eyes fell on Swine Nemesis, and a thought began to form. Maybe being perceived as a madman wasn't such a bad thing after all. The realization started to solidify, a profound understanding dawning within him. He was beginning to grasp his true place in this world. The truth of his perception crashed down on him fully. Because in his eyes, this entire world was teeming with pigs. He then turned his gaze to the audience, reminding them to support him, like him, and follow him. The Grand Awakening crystal pulsed with energy, a silent promise of destiny within Qingqing Academy. Chuan stood, a picture of quiet resolve, while the principal watched from a distance. Laughter rippled through the crowd, tinged with amusement and a hint of disdain. Lu Jinglong sneered, remarking that Qingqing Academy had hoped for a true dragon but had instead gotten a pig butcher, which only fueled the crowd's mirth. He pointed at Chuan, calling him a punk, then turned to his companion with a patronizing offer of comfort. Lu Jinglong continued his taunts, informing Chuan that awakening as a divine-tier pig butcher meant he was essentially following in his father's footsteps. Chuan remained outwardly calm, though a flicker of weariness crossed his eyes as he absorbed the barrage of ridicule. He stood his ground, an island of stoicism amidst the storm of mockery. Two onlookers grumbled in frustration, convinced that Chuan must have gathered immense blessings over several lifetimes to achieve such a feat. Chuan glanced at Su Lingxian, murmuring that Uncle Yi and his own father would be thrilled, a subtle acknowledgement of his own dawning understanding. Su Lingxian recalled their childhood, the days when their parents, both with life-type professions, had actively tried to matchmake them, a fond memory of simpler times. The announcer's voice cut through the murmuring, calling out the next name for awakening, Su Lingxian. Su Lingxian stepped forward, speaking to Chuan, wondering aloud about her own profession, but reassuring him that no matter what she awakened to, she would always stay by his side. A faint blush graced Su Lingxian's cheeks as she met Chuan's gaze, her words a promise of unwavering loyalty amidst the uncertainty of their awakenings. With a deep breath and a focused expression, Su Lingxian approached the awakening crystal, ready to face whatever destiny awaited her. A soft exhale escaped Su Lingxian as she placed her hand on the crystal, its surface beginning to glow with an ethereal blue light. The light intensified, swirling around Su Lingxian as a powerful surge of energy emanated from the crystal, accompanied by sharp, resonant sounds. A gasp of disbelief escaped the crowd as the power radiating from Su Lingxian became undeniable. Someone in the crowd exclaimed in shock, their voice filled with awe at the sight unfolding before them. The profession's name, etched in light and power, was revealed, a legendary tier combat profession, the Snow Soul Sword Immortal. Su Lingxian stood bathed in the light of her awakened profession, a formidable aura now surrounding her, a stark contrast to the earlier whispers about her parents' life-type professions. An announcement board appeared, directing readers to a website to continue the chapter. The murmurs of the crowd turned into exclamations of astonishment. They couldn't reconcile her awakened profession with her background. Speculation ran rampant, with onlookers questioning if this was a mutation, given her parents' life-type professions. The principal, addressing Su Lingxian, pledged Qingqing Academy's full support, acknowledging the immense potential of her legendary combat profession. Su Lingxian, with a grateful smile, offered her thanks to the principal for the academy's backing. The crowd continued to whisper amongst themselves, contrasting Chuan's pig butcher profession with Su Lingxian's legendary status, questioning if she would still associate with him. The whispers continued, with some muttering that Chuan was a nobody who should stay away from Su Lingxian, offering hollow congratulations. Suddenly, Lu Jinglong called out Chuan's name, his voice dripping with arrogance. Su Lingxian, a hint of sadness in her eyes, admitted that there had been some misunderstandings between them. She then declared that from this moment on, things would be cleared up, but in a way that clearly stated they were no longer equals. The onlookers exchanged knowing glances, their agreement with Lu Jinglong evident. Chuan, his expression unreadable, simply responded, fine. Su Lingxian, looking away and fidgeting, acknowledged that it must be a blow to him, but urged him not to pretend he was all right, punctuated by a nervous cough. Lu Jinglong interjected, dismissing Chuan as a mere pig butcher who would never achieve anything significant. He warned Chuan not to blame him and to stay out of his way from now on. With a smirk, Lu Jinglong muttered about finally being rid of the pighead and announced he was leaving. He then turned to Su Lingxian, mockingly offering to teach him a lesson so she could see reality clearly. Su Lingxian simply looked away, her expression unreadable. Lu Jinglong, his voice dripping with condescension, taunted, hey! Pig butcher! He demanded that Chuan get over there, his expression filled with malice. Lu Jinglong continued to taunt him, asking if Chuan was deaf. Chuan, his gaze unfocused, finally asked what Lu Jinglong wanted. A sharp, guttural sound escaped Lu Jinglong as his eyes widened in disbelief. The crowd gasped in shock. Someone in the crowd stammered, asking what was happening. Lu Jinglong, his face contorted in fear, described Chuan's eyes as if he were a pig tied down on the chopping block, ready to be slaughtered. A man in the crowd, his mouth agape, mocked Lu Jinglong, asking if he was okay. Lu Jinglong, enraged, cursed Chuan. The crowd continued to jeer and laugh, their mockery now directed at Lu Jinglong's distress. Lu Jinglong, his face a mask of fury, demanded if Chuan dared to glare at him, raising his fist. Chuan's eyes glowed with an intense red light as he unleashed a powerful, swift punch, catching Lu Jinglong completely off guard. Chuan's fist, clad in rough bands, rockets forward, a raw surge of power contained within. A crimson glow ignites in Chuan's eyes as energy radiates outward, the sheer force of his strike about to be unleashed. Lu Jinglong screams out in disbelief and pain as the unexpected force of Chuan's blow slams into him. The onlookers are left stunned, murmuring in confusion and shock at this unbelievable turn of events. Su Lingxian watches, her expression one of shock and perhaps a dawning realization of Chuan's hidden strength. Reeling from the impact, Lu Jinglong stammers his denial, utterly unable to comprehend how a mere pig butcher could possess such might. Chuan, with a calm, almost sardonic expression, simply retorts that being a pig butcher naturally implies having strong hands, a statement that perfectly makes sense to him. The raw power of Chuan's attack resonates, leaving a lingering sense of awe and unease among those who witnessed his sudden display of strength. Jinglong, furious, declared he would kill Chuan, emphasizing the strength of his hand. Chuan let out a pained roar. The onlookers watched, convinced Chuan was doomed as Jinglong prepared to strike with serious intent. They questioned why a mere pig butcher would dare provoke a combat user like Jinglong, especially with his formidable sword. Jinglong, enraged, threatened to cripple Chuan right then and there. The air hung thick with tension as the confrontation reached its peak. Suddenly, a chilling sensation of freezing took over Chuan's body, leaving him completely immobilized. In an unknown ethereal space, a mysterious female entity questioned Su Lingxian's continued loyalty to Chuan, hinting that he was no longer one of them. Su Lingxian, witnessing the unfolding events, pleaded with them to stop fighting so fiercely, attributing the conflict to her. She urged them to cease their conflict, her voice filled with a quiet sadness. Looking at Chuan, Su Lingxian sadly acknowledged that they were indeed from different worlds now. She declared this would be her last act of intervention, a farewell to their shared past, and urged Chuan to leave. A profound sense of finality settled over the scene as Su Lingxian made her pronouncement. Su Lingxian warned Chuan to leave Qingqing, promising no further help if Jinglong sought revenge. With a yawn, she indicated she was leaving, remarking on Chuan's surprisingly nonchalant attitude. The intense tension of the encounter dissipated as Su Lingxian departed. On the street, a menacing growl echoed. The sound intensified, filled with a primal aggression. Chuan, encountering a peculiar woman with a fierce beast, politely asked her to control her dog, as it was blocking his path. The situation on the street began to escalate as the woman and her beast reacted. The pig-like man, incensed by Chuan's perceived lack of deference, accused him of lacking manners and compassion. Chuan, seeing an opportunity, decided this was the perfect moment to test a theory he had. A sudden cry of surprise escaped someone as the beast lunged. The woman shrieked in terror, fearing for her son as the beast attacked. A system notification confirmed Chuan's successful test, extra damage increased by 1%, validating his theory. A furious woman, face contorted with rage, lunges forward, vowing to fight to the death for her son and an old woman. The attacker chillingly identifies herself as a psychopath, her hand raised as if to strike, a subtle stop gesture indicated. She questions if there's anything else, stating she's leaving if not, her tone laced with a sinister calm. Another figure, with an unsettling glow in his eye, remarks on having encountered a psycho, lamenting that even death would be for nothing if such a person were involved. The serene woman from before reassures the young man, telling him it's nothing and to take care of himself. A symbol of good fortune appears as she smiles warmly. Back at Chuan's home, his father seems surprised, asking if he's really changed his profession to a pig butcher. A subtle nod to the chapter's origin is displayed with a website URL. An empty panel, signifying a transition. Chuan's father expresses pride, seeing honesty in being pig butchers and suggesting they head to the slaughterhouse tomorrow to get familiar with it. Chuan is shown fast asleep, wearing a pig-themed onesie, completely at peace, with soft zzz sounds indicated. The sound of movement, perhaps from the night air, is indicated by a series of schwa sounds. A mysterious figure, shrouded in darkness, remarks on Chuan's father's son being an ordinary pig butcher and the surprising lineage of Ghost Cry having a pig butcher son. Another shadowy presence questions if Yuan's child is truly his biological son. The first shadowy figure reiterates a warning not to disturb them again, followed by a chillingly polite threat if they do, stating they won't be so polite next time. A declaration is made that the organization will no longer trouble them, as the word disappear flashes with a visual effect. The scene shifts to the next day at the slaughterhouse. An empty panel, indicating a passage of time. A statement of principle for a good pig butcher is presented. It begins with a good knife. Chuan's father encourages him to pick the knife that feels best in his hand. Chuan finds a suitable knife, picking it up with a small sound effect. A system notification confirms the selection of the pig-slaying knife with the god-slaying edge, detailing its bonus attribute points for every pig killed. Chuan is instructed that the first step for a pig butcher is to learn how to use the knife, as pigs squeal in their final moments. A heavy thud is heard as a large pig is dropped, accompanied by a putong sound effect. Chuan is given the crucial advice: aim for the weak spot for a one-hit kill. Chuan, with intense focus, swung his butcher knife, channeling a surge of power that glowed with a menacing light. A guttural roar echoed, followed by the cold, metallic voice of the system announcing his progress. The system confirmed that killing a flying pig had granted him experience, boosted his pig slayer ability, and even offered precious attribute points. His father, witnessing the kill, offered praise but noted that Chuan's aim wasn't quite perfect for a one-hit kill, emphasizing the need to strike the main artery. Chuan listened intently, nodding in understanding as his father explained the finer points of butchery. His father gently explained that while butchering might seem dull, it was their family's livelihood. But Chuan, eager to prove himself, asked if he could take on all the pigs himself. His father, beaming with pride, agreed, even suggesting Chuan could handle the work at their neighbors' establishments too. With each kill, Chuan's skills grew, reflected in a system notification confirming his level up and enhanced pig slayer ability. Another pig fell, and the system chimed again, marking another step forward in his training. The rhythmic dispatch of pigs continued, each one contributing to his rapid advancement, his level steadily climbing. The steady work continued, the hum of the slaughterhouse a constant backdrop to Chuan's relentless progress. Carcasses hung, a testament to his growing mastery of the butcher's art. After dispatching his 49th pig, Chuan's stats surged dramatically, and his pig slayer ability was significantly enhanced, marking his promotion to rank 5 apprentice. Meanwhile, another butcher marveled at Chuan's incredible speed, noting he'd done a week's worth of work already. A knowing smile played on his father's lips as he watched his son's dedication. He proudly declared the reason for Chuan's exceptional skill. His son was, after all, a god-tier butcher. Chuan felt a new confidence, realizing he'd truly mastered the butcher knife. With his skills honed, Chuan felt it was time to step beyond the familiar confines of the slaughterhouse and explore the wider world. He knew the world outside was a dangerous place, teeming with myriad races and rampant demons. Humanity had united under the Human Federation, divided into 9 special zones, with Qingqing City situated on the borderlands of the 5th special zone. A map clearly showed the location of Qingqing, a vital hub. It lay within the perilous borderlands, a place where danger lurked. Chuan prepared to leave the safety of the slaughterhouse, his father's final words of caution echoing in his mind. His father warned him that his life-skill profession made him vulnerable outside the city, instructing him to stay within a 1-kilometer radius, or face serious danger. With a final, decisive nod, Chuan turns his back on the familiar safety, his gaze fixed on the unknown horizon. His father's parting words about the dangers beyond the city walls echo in his mind. He ventured into the shadowed woods, the path ahead obscured and filled with an eerie silence. The air grew heavy with the promise of the wild. Suddenly, a guttural cackle ripped through the trees. Chuan's senses snapped to attention, his body tensing. A grotesque goblin lunged from the undergrowth, its eyes burning with a malicious glee and a tiny dagger clutched in its hand. Chuan saw his chance. This was the perfect moment to test his newly awakened blood shadow butcher skill. A surge of dark, potent energy enveloped Chuan as he unleashed his power. The goblin was struck down in an instant, its monstrous form violently disintegrating into dust. A system notification flashed, confirming his success and detailing the experience and attribute points gained. Chuan mused that the tougher the opponent, the greater the reward. He felt a prickling sensation, sensing more movement in the surrounding darkness. His father's warning about spotting one goblin meaning more were near came back to him. A confident grin spread across Chuan's face as he called out, his voice echoing through the trees, inviting the rest of the goblin horde to face him. More goblins, their numbers growing, emerged from the shadows, their guttural cries filling the air. Their snarling faces were a clear testament to their aggressive intent. With a swift, fluid motion, Chuan began his onslaught. He moved with a deadly precision, his blade a blur as he dispatched the creatures with brutal efficiency. Chuan taunted the remaining goblins, eager to continue his rapid advancement and reveling in the fight. One particularly surprised goblin attempted to flee, but it was far too late. Chuan's gaze then fell upon a dark opening in the rocks, the unmistakable entrance to a goblin cave. The entrance pulsed with an eerie, ominous red light, beckoning him deeper. He grinned again, anticipating the next wave of challenges and the rewards they would bring. A system notification updated his status, showing his increased level and his recognized profession as god-tier butcher. Chuan stood ready, his eyes gleaming with a potent mix of determination and a flicker of apprehension for what lay ahead. He surveyed the cavern's interior, the crimson light casting long, dancing shadows. With a decisive kick, Chuan cleared away some discarded wooden planks, clearing a path into the unknown depths. Deep within the cave, a huddled, crying girl was revealed, weakly calling for milk as the goblins around her repeated "Feed me." Chuan's attention was drawn to the distressed child, a new urgency filling him as he saw the plight of the innocent. Deep within the ominous goblin cave, Chuan's arrival was met with a chilling sight. A young girl, her face etched with terror, was bound and distressed, her desperate pleas echoing in the oppressive darkness. Her cries for help, barely a whisper, cut through the tense atmosphere. The fear in her voice was undeniable as she pleaded with Chuan to rescue her. The young woman, Xiaonan, trapped and terrified, lets out a desperate plea to not be harmed. Her pleas are cut short as a chaotic struggle unfolds, ending with a piercing scream. The immediate aftermath of violence. The darkness of the cave offers little comfort, but the sounds of struggle have ceased. A gasp escapes Xiao Nanan's lips as the immediate danger passes, her eyes wide with residual terror. Yi Chuan, his expression unreadable, dismisses her fear with a pragmatic statement, the goblins are all dead. The oppressive quiet of the cave is a stark contrast to the recent chaos. A moment of fragile calm settles over the scene, the immediate threat extinguished. Overwhelmed by the realization of her safety, Xiao Nanan expresses her profound gratitude to Yi Chuan. She confides in him, her voice trembling as she recounts her near-fatal ordeal, but Yi Chuan, ever pragmatic, admits he hadn't intended to rescue her. Amazed by his prowess, Xiao Nanan questions if he was the one responsible for eliminating all the goblins. Impressed by his combat skills, she inquires about his profession and his name. He simply states his name, Yi Chuan. Without further ado, Yi Chuan points the way out of the cave, directing her back towards the safety of the city. A rustling of leaves nearby signals movement. Xiao Nanan hesitates, clearly apprehensive about venturing out alone, and decides to follow Yi Chuan. She trails behind him, her steps tentative, a lingering fear of being alone evident in her posture. Yi Chuan suddenly stops, suspicion clouding his features. He asks if she's a spy, a question that startles her into a panicked cry. Quickly reassuring him, Xiao Nanan explains her fear and then, as if sharing her own story, asks for his name and inquires about his reasons for being there. She introduces herself, her voice gaining a touch of confidence as she mentions her mother's upcoming birthday. Xiao Nanan reveals her original quest for a blood moon flower as a gift, a mission that led to her capture, and then proposes a deal. She offers her assistance in finding a top-tier weaponsmith in Qingqing if he, in turn, helps her locate the blood moon flower. Yi Chuan dismisses her offer with a cold threat, questioning the exorbitant cost of such a service and telling her to go back, his demeanor unyielding. Offended by his brusque dismissal, Xiao Nanan internally laments his coldness, privately believing herself to be quite attractive. Confused and slightly indignant, she decides to assert her identity, boldly proclaiming her father's name, Xiao Beihai. The name Xiao Beihai registers with Yi Chuan, a flicker of recognition crossing his usually impassive face. Xiao Nanan elaborates, revealing her father is the head of the influential Xiao family, a powerful figure only a step away from grandmaster status. Yi Chuan, however, needs confirmation, questioning the veracity of her claim. Yi Chuan's eyes gleam with a sudden, calculating intensity. He realizes the potential benefits of such a connection, envisioning a wealth of custom-forged butcher knives, a thought that brings a subtle, almost predatory smile to his lips. Xiao Nanan revealed the protective amulet her father had given her, explaining that it was a safeguard even a transcendent expert couldn't bypass. She admitted the goblins had been too cunning and treacherous, ambushing her and leading to her capture. Because they couldn't get close to her, they had locked her away, implying a far worse fate had they succeeded. Xiao Nanan, flustered, explained how dire her situation might have been if Yi Chuan hadn't intervened. Yi Chuan, recognizing the influence of the Xiao family and the potential for custom-made butcher knives, finally agreed to her proposal, stating he'd help her find the blood moon flower in exchange for her help securing a top-tier knife. Xiao Nanan exclaimed in delight, confirming their deal. She then presented Yi Chuan with a map she had purchased, which marked the location of the blood moon flower. However, she warned that the flower's location was guarded by a dangerous blood moon great python, and she questioned if Yi Chuan was even listening to her warnings. Xiao Nanan elaborated that, according to the Wilderness Survival Guide, the blood moon great python possessed strength comparable to a 9th-rank apprentice, and she doubted her own current strength would be enough to deal with it. She confessed her lack of experience, stating she had never even seen a giant python in her entire life. Xiao Nanan wondered if Yi Chuan was truly paying attention to her dire warnings. Still, she reasoned that since he could single-handedly eliminate an entire goblin tribe, he must be a god-level combat professional, and declared they should go, putting him in charge of leading the way. Xiao Nanan found herself unsure why she felt this way. She felt Yi Chuan gave off a peculiar feeling, making him seem both reliable and unreliable at the same time. Suddenly, they spotted a silver-horned rhinoceros ahead, and Xiao Nanan immediately warned Yi Chuan that they absolutely must not provoke it. She explained that if it became enraged, its strength could be comparable to an 8th-rank apprentice, and insisted they should just quietly go around it. Xiao Nanan turned to Yi Chuan, only to find him drawing his massive cleaver, and she questioned what he was doing. Yi Chuan declared that if the rhinoceros dared to eat grass today, it would dare to eat people tomorrow. He adamantly stated it could not be left alive, leaving Xiao Nanan stunned and questioning his bizarre reasoning. With swift, powerful movements, Yi Chuan closed the distance. Yi Chuan unleashed a devastating attack. An unseen force struck the rhinoceros. Yi Chuan's eyes flashed with determination as he channeled his power. A powerful aura emanated from him, signaling the final blow. With a single, decisive strike, Yi Chuan brought the formidable silver-horned rhinoceros crashing down, leaving Xiao Nanan utterly astonished by his incredible power. Xiao Nanan could only stare in disbelief, a surprised sound escaping her lips. Yi Chuan had barely even moved, and yet, the hulking silver-horned rhinoceros lay defeated, its lifeblood staining the ground. She couldn't fathom it. He'd actually killed it, that monstrous beast that she'd been so terrified of, with just a single, swift strike. Was this truly the same man she'd been trying to negotiate with? Yi Chuan's system pinged, informing him that he'd leveled up to 7th-rank apprentice after defeating the silver-horned rhinoceros, even earning a bonus for it being a nemesis of his pig clan profession. The sheer power display was astounding. Looking at his trusty blade, Chuan murmured to himself, wondering how much longer it would last given the intensity of his battles. An apprentice nearby, still reeling from Chuan's effortless victory, stared at him with wide eyes, demanding to know what his true profession was. Calmly, Chuan replied that he was a pig butcher, a life-type profession. The others found it utterly unbelievable that someone with such a profession could fell a silver-horned rhinoceros in a single blow. Someone among the stunned onlookers commented that the rhino horn was indeed valuable stuff, their attention momentarily shifting from the impossible feat to the prize. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed through the air. Xiaonan, perhaps trying to rationalize the quick defeat, suggested the rhino was just old. She then pointed ahead, noting they were very close to finding the blood moon flower. Another apprentice, observing Chuan's composed demeanor, found himself thinking that the young man didn't seem to be lying about his abilities. A commotion erupted in the distance, the sounds of raised voices carrying on the breeze. More sounds of movement filled the background as figures began to approach. The instructor, addressing the group, expressed his pride in their performance during the field training, his voice booming with satisfaction. He declared them to be the students he thought highly of, but his attention was suddenly drawn to a swift movement among the trees. "Wait! There's movement," he exclaimed. The instructor's voice sharpened, a command cutting through the air. "Who's there? Come out," he demanded, his gaze fixed on the approaching figures. The group stilled, a palpable tension filling the air as they sensed the presence of others closing in. A quiet hum of anticipation hung over them. A questioning hum escaped one of the apprentices as they noticed the figures drawing nearer, a mixture of curiosity and apprehension on their faces. Lu Jinglong and his companions had arrived, their faces registering surprise at seeing Chuan and Xiaonan there. Lu Jinglong spoke first, asking why Chuan was in their path. He pressed further, his tone accusatory, "What are you doing here?" Chuan calmly replied that he was just passing by. Lu Jinglong, however, scoffed, disbelieving his casual response. "Just passing by?" he echoed. Lu Jinglong's arrogance flared as he accused Chuan of still being fixated on Su Lingxian and following them like a persistent pest. One of Lu Jinglong's associates sneered, making a derogatory remark about Chuan's pig face. A subtle sound of disgust emanated from Chuan, a low hiss that was barely audible. Chuan's voice was firm and cold as he told Lu Jinglong that they were from different worlds now, warning him to stop bothering him. An aggressive grunt of defiance was heard from Lu Jinglong, the sound radiating pure hostility. Lu Jinglong confronted Chuan directly, his voice laced with malice. "Chuan, you still dare to show your face in front of me?" he snarled. "Great. I was just worried I couldn't find you." An apprentice nearby gasped, marveling at Lu Jinglong's weapon, its gleam suggesting it had reached the coveted yellow rank, low-grade level. One of the apprentices exclaimed in amazement, pointing out that Lu Jinglong, a mere fourth-rank apprentice, had somehow acquired a yellow-rank, low-grade spirit weapon so quickly, marveling at its true power. Another apprentice, impressed by Chuan's earlier display, declared him a genius, certain that with his current strength, he could fight on par with a sixth-rank apprentice. Instructor Su Lingxian sternly addressed Chuan, reminding him of her prior warning to leave Qingqing alone, and stated that this time, she wouldn't intervene. The pig-faced character, looking suspicious, asked Chuan if he held a personal grudge against their group. She continued, questioning the actual worth of a yellow-rank, low-grade spirit weapon and if Chuan even grasped the seriousness of their current situation. Clearly annoyed and embarrassed, she recalled how Chuan had stolen the spotlight from her before. She thought to herself, determined that this time, she would reclaim her lost attention. Lu Jinglong, focused and driven, was thinking about making sure Su Lingxian witnessed his true strength. He was ready to prove himself. Chuan, seeing the confrontation escalate, resolved to show Su Lingxian his true power. With a determined glint in his eyes, Chuan prepared himself for what was to come. The pig-faced character, utterly dismissive, taunted Chuan, asking what a mere pig butcher was doing acting so arrogant. She threatened to make it so he couldn't even butcher a pig in the future, spitting in disgust. Chuan remained unfazed, calmly stating he didn't need a knife to deal with her. He warned her not to push him further, or he wouldn't be polite. Fueled by envy and aggression, Lu Jinglong unleashed his attack with a roar. The immense power of his yellow-rank spirit weapon far surpassed Chuan's ordinary blade. As the attack landed, Chuan's seemingly sturdy blade proved as fragile as paper paste against the force of the spirit weapon. A shocked spectator wondered aloud why Chuan had been so foolish as to provoke Lu Jinglong. Lu Jinglong, grimacing, readied another strike, confident in his superior weapon. He lunged forward, intending to finish Chuan with a decisive blow. Chuan braced for the impact, his body already struggling under the strain. The powerful strike connected, sending Chuan reeling backward. He was thrown back, his vision blurring as he fought to stay conscious. One of Lu Jinglong's companions rushed to his side, concerned, yelling for him to get up. Despite the shattering blow, Chuan pushes himself, gritting his teeth. He insists he's alright, but the raw agony is evident as his body screams in protest. Yet, the world begins to blur as consciousness slips away. "I have to hold on." He thinks desperately. Then, a distant voice calls his name, asking if he has already begun to falter. Around him, other apprentices watch the scene unfold. Some with a flicker of pity, others with a grim satisfaction. Lu Jinglong stands tall, his victory assured, while instructor Su Lingxian observes with an unreadable expression as Chuan struggles to remain conscious, supported by another. Yi Chuan's impressive butcher knife gleamed, a testament to his skill, drawing murmurs of admiration. Onlookers whispered in disbelief, marveling that Yi Chuan had somehow reached the 7th-rank apprentice level, surpassing even Sister Ling Xian. One observer explained that while the realms were the same, life-type professions like Yi Chuan's had a unique advantage in their early stages. Combat-type professions demanded constant training, fighting, and enduring injuries, making their initial growth a slower, more arduous climb. But once combat professionals broke through, their growth exploded, leaving other paths far behind. In contrast, life-type professions like alchemists and weaponsmiths could progress without direct combat, focusing solely on their craft. Yi Chuan, as a pig butcher, was a perfect example, his rapid advancement fueled by the sheer consistency of his daily grind. It was clear then, his current strength came directly from the high core stats gained through his accelerated leveling. A sigh of exasperation followed, questioning the fairness. It was pointed out that Yi Chuan's task doubled with each advancement, and reaching the Dangtang realm would require an astronomical number of pigs. However, the conversation concluded that once combat professionals master their techniques early on, their later progress would accelerate exponentially. The implication hung heavy. Yi Chuan might be overpowering Brother Jinglong now, but in a few years, combat-type professions would likely surpass him entirely. The observer simply nodded in agreement. With the discussion concluded, one of the women decided it was time to depart. A banner announced where the full chapter could be read, a brief pause before the next events unfolded. Suddenly, a female student confronted Yi Chuan, her voice laced with accusation and a hint of desperation, questioning if his relentless efforts were meant to prove something to her. She declared her admission to the Sky Dome Academy, emphasizing that they now belonged to different worlds, a stark separation. Before Yi Chuan could respond, another figure interrupted, their voice sharp and cutting. The newcomer stated that Yi Chuan was accompanying her to find a blood moon flower, implying their current encounter was an unfortunate interruption. One of the students scoffed, utterly bewildered that anyone would consider Yi Chuan, whom Sister Ling Xian had apparently rejected, as valuable as a treasure, calling them blind. Another chimed in with further insults, calling Yi Chuan a scumbag and a womanizer, cruelly suggesting his ability to quickly attract another woman was proof of his character, comparing them to a bitch and a dog destined for an eternal love. A sudden flurry of impacts, the sound effect indicating rapid, sharp blows, signaling the start of a fight. The scene dissolved into chaos as Yi Chuan was violently struck, his body reeling from the force of the attacks. Amidst the melee, one of the attackers cried out in pain and confusion, questioning why they were being hit as well. Instructor Su Lingxuan's voice, sharp and full of fury, cut through the noise, questioning if the attacker truly sought death. Yi Chuan, battered but unyielding, stared back defiantly as Instructor Su Lingxian delivered a chilling warning. A mysterious, ornate amulet-like object glows faintly in a hand, hinting at its significance. A defiant voice rings out, declaring that no one will lay a finger on them. Shouts of "Wait! Stop!" erupt as a chaotic scuffle breaks out, involving Instructor Su Lingxian. Onlookers recognize the woman who just intervened, exclaiming that she's the eldest young miss of the Xia family, Miss Xia. Miss Xia dismisses their inquiries haughtily, stating it's none of their business and she'll go wherever she pleases. Miss Xia then turns her sharp gaze to Principal Zhao, criticizing the quality of his students. He apologetically agrees to discipline them. Miss Xia demands that the other student apologize to Yi Chuan for their insolence. Whispers spread among the onlookers, identifying her as Xia Beihai's daughter. More murmurs follow, with onlookers questioning why she's so involved with Yi Chuan. Miss Xia adamantly insists on the apology, her voice ringing with authority. Under immense pressure, the unidentified female student begrudgingly apologizes. The unidentified female student, furious at being forced to apologize, makes a veiled threat against the Xia family before deciding to leave, concerned about missing her ride. As she turns to go, Brother Jinglong shouts, demanding his green peak saber back. Yi Chuan, clearly in pain on the ground after being struck, endures the blow. Still defiant, Yi Chuan taunts his attacker, telling him to come and take his weapon back if he has the guts, as he'll be waiting. The unidentified male student is enraged by Yi Chuan's taunt, his face contorted in fury. He vows revenge, shouting a promise of retribution. The scene shifts to a mystical, ancient forest, with two red beams piercing the sky. Yi Chuan and his companion arrive at a seemingly promising location for finding the blood moon flower, his companion urging caution. A system prompt appears, informing Yi Chuan that his exclusive butcher knife has been equipped and its god-slaying sharp edge is active, doubling attribute points gained from killing pigs. Yi Chuan muses that the doubled points make choosing a good knife indeed very necessary. The scene briefly shows an advertisement for reading chapters online. Miss Xia, holding colored orbs, discusses a treasure chest and the blood moon flower, while Yi Chuan contemplates the power dynamics between professions. Miss Xia elaborates on their plan, stating they can use the discovered items to save their lives when the blood moon great python appears, before deciding to scout ahead. Yi Chuan, now in a defensive stance with his butcher knife, faces an unseen threat as the environment crackles with energy. Yi Chuan's companion let out a gasp of pure elation, realizing they had stumbled upon something far more precious than they'd hoped, not just a blood moon flower, but a rare blood crystal twin flower. Their luck was truly through the roof. Suddenly, the elation on Yi Chuan's companion's face shifted into a stark realization, perhaps brought on by the intensity of the discovery, or something more ominous lurking nearby. The crackling forest around them seemed to take on a sinister aura. A monstrous, shadowy form began to manifest, its crimson eyes burning with malevolent intent, fixated on Yi Chuan. Yi Chuan stood stunned, the rare flower he held momentarily forgotten as he registered the immense, ominous presence looming over him. This was the unseen threat he had sensed earlier. The terrifying form of the blood moon great python fully materialized before Yi Chuan, its massive serpentine body coiled and ready, its malevolent gaze locked onto the lone figure of the young butcher. As Yi Chuan finally examined the rare flower he'd obtained, a gruff voice snapped, questioning why he was staring at it, as if picking a flower was some unprecedented act. Please support the creators by reading this at their official site. Suddenly, a gruff voice breaks the tense silence, questioning Yi Chuan's focus on the flower as if he'd never witnessed such an act before. Yi Chuan stands frozen, perhaps stunned by the abrupt, unwelcome interruption. Seeing Yi Chuan's bewildered inaction, Miss Ya urges him to snap out of his daze and react, a tremor of urgency in her voice. A sudden, sharp warning cuts through the air, look out. The chilling hiss of the blood moon great python fills the air as it lunges, its intentions terrifyingly clear. The forest erupts with a sound of rapid movement, the pythons attack a terrifying blur of motion. The ominous glow of the python's attack paints the forest in a malevolent light. Yi Chuan is violently thrown back by the sheer force of the python's strike, while Miss Ya rushes to his side, her voice laced with concern, asking if he's alright. Despite his evident injuries, Yi Chuan's expression shifts from pain to surprise and then a growing determination. Miss Ya marvels aloud at the incredible power of the thunderfire pearl that Yi Chuan had just unleashed. The aftermath of the potent blast still lingers in the air, a stark testament to the immense power of the attack. Yi Chuan presents one of the blood crystal twin flowers to Miss Ya, saying simply, for you. Miss Ya's eyes widen in astonishment as she recognizes the precious bloom, the blood crystal twin flower. Curiosity piqued, Miss Ya inquires about its properties, learning that while a regular blood moon flower merely slows aging, this mutated version bestows eternal youth. A wave of happy realization washes over Yi Chuan as he understands the implications, thinking how his mother would absolutely adore such a gift. Catching Yi Chuan's gaze lingering on the second flower, Miss Ya can't help but wonder if he's planning on giving it to her. With a hint of playful disappointment mixed with amusement, she muses that perhaps Yi Chuan is finally starting to get the hint. A deep, guttural roar echoes through the forest, signaling the blood moon great python's resurgence and preparation for another attack. The massive creature surges forward with renewed ferocity, its immense power palpable and radiating outwards. The python moves with terrifying speed and raw force, a relentless storm of primal power. Miss Ya is shocked that the thunderfire pearl didn't defeat the creature, noting its incredible resilience and strength as she urgently asks if Yi Chuan has any more of the pearls. Yi Chuan replies with a hint of regret, explaining that his father only gave him one pair of the precious pearls. Suddenly, a chilling cry slices through the air, announcing the arrival of an entirely new and terrifying threat. A holographic display flares to life, revealing the name of this new, formidable entity, Blood Shadow Butcher. The Blood Shadow Butcher lets out a menacing hiss, its chilling presence immediately palpable, rivaling that of the blood moon great python. Miss Ya's attendant voiced his grave concern, scolding her for venturing into such a perilous area for a flower, stating a servant could have easily fetched it for her. He worried about her safety. Miss Ya, however, insisted on picking the flower for her mother herself, confidently asserting that with Yi Chuan's protection, there was no danger. She then turned her attention to him, inquiring about his identity. Yi Chuan humbly introduced himself, stating he was Yi Chuan, a pig butcher. The attendant pondered aloud that the blood moon great python only appeared where the blood crystal flower grew. He questioned why Miss Ya would seek protection from someone with such a seemingly ordinary profession. Yet, a second thought crossed his mind. Could this young man have actually managed to defeat the formidable python? Impressed, the attendant praised Yi Chuan's potential and offered him a substantial reward from the Xia family, a gold ring worth 200,000, for his assistance. The attendant presented the valuable gold ring. But Yi Chuan firmly declined the generous offer. His only desire, he stated, was for a butcher knife. Yi Chuan, after all the excitement, could only utter his simple desire, a butcher knife. A butcher knife? That was his sole request, baffling the attendant who had witnessed Yi Chuan's prowess. He didn't want any riches or power, just a butcher knife. The attendant wondered if Yi Chuan was perhaps not quite right in the head, relaying Yi Chuan's wish to find the best weaponsmith in Qingqing to forge him a spirit weapon. Mr. Zhao, ever the loyal subordinate, assured the young lady that he would handle Yi Chuan's request, then instructed his men to escort her home, noting her father's concern. Mr. Zhao confirmed that he had promised Yi Chuan a spirit weapon and would see it fulfilled. As she departed, the young lady reassured Yi Chuan that she would see him again. Yi Chuan bid farewell to the young lady, who promised to see him again. The family representative, acknowledging Yi Chuan's heroism in saving their young lady, offered him any condition he desired as a reward. However, he quickly laid down a stern warning, no improper ideas about the young lady, lest he face severe consequences. Yi Chuan, unfazed, retorted that in his eyes, she was just another pig's head, and reiterated his sole desire for a top-tier spirit weapon. The representative then mentioned Master Tai Xian, the most renowned weaponsmith in Qingqing, emphasizing his strong ties with their Xia family. He promised to make the necessary arrangements and told Yi Chuan he could go directly to Master Tai Xian the following day. Meanwhile, far from Qingqing, a shadowy figure seethed with rage. The sounds of the wild echoed as the entity lamented the loss of its pet beast and the theft of its spirit herb. This powerful being vowed revenge, declaring that they had memorized Yi Chuan's scent and he wouldn't escape them. The ominous threat hung in the air, a promise of retribution against Yi Chuan. The entity's furious gaze intensified, its horns glowing with dark energy as it swore to hunt Chuan down. Its tongue flicked out, tasting the air, searching for the scent it had memorized. A wave of dark energy emanated from the figure, signifying its wrath and determination. Chuan made his way into the bustling city, the urban landscape a stark contrast to the wilds he had just left. His destination was clear, a place that specialized in buying various beast materials at exceptionally high prices. Upon entering, Chuan announced his intention to sell some beast materials, his voice calm and direct. The merchant, eyeing Chuan's lean build, expressed surprise that he could have captured a silver-horned rhinoceros, offering 10,000 for it. Chuan, comparing it to his father's earnings from butchering pigs, mused that this single rhinoceros horn was equivalent to butchering 100 pigs. The merchant's expression shifted as Chuan stated the value of the horn, drawing a parallel to his own father's livelihood. Chuan looked utterly baffled, questioning if 10,000 was even enough for the displayed armor. The merchant praised Chuan's taste, explaining the gold scale soft armor's incredible properties, crafted from the scales of a sharp-clawed fire serpent and offering excellent defense and temperature regulation. The merchant revealed the steep price of 150,000, causing Chuan to incredulously compare it to the impossible task of butchering 1,500 pigs. Chuan, his eyes wide with disbelief, muttered about butchering pigs, still reeling from the price. A black screen signaled a shift in scene or a moment of contemplation. Chuan proposed a trade for the armor, holding up a glowing sword. The merchant's eyes widened in shock and excitement as he identified the item as a yellow-rank, low-grade spirit weapon. Chuan confidently stated that his offering was more than enough to cover the cost. The merchant, clearly impressed, helped Chuan put on the gold scale soft armor, remarking how perfectly it fit and musing that the young man must have a high-level profession. Internally, the merchant plotted, considering how to seduce this naive and wealthy young man. He explained that normally, such a trade would incur a significant service fee. With a suggestive grin, the merchant waived the fee, hinting that Chuan would owe him a favor. The merchant then asked Chuan about his profession, his expression still suggestive. Chuan, with a straightforward demeanor, declared his profession, a pig butcher. The merchant stared, utterly dumbfounded, the words a pig butcher barely escaping his lips. Back at the Yi residence, Chuan presented his mother with a stunning flower, calling her mom. Chuan's mother gasped, her eyes wide with astonishment, recognizing the flower. She exclaimed, a blood crystal twin flower? Chuan, how did you get this? Her suspicion immediately kicked in as she asked if he stole it. Chuan quickly reassured her, explaining he found it after witnessing two snakes fight outside the city. His mother, relieved but still worried, scolded him for venturing into the dangerous wilderness, emphasizing how they, as mere pig butchers, couldn't handle any trouble. She playfully pinched his cheek, warning him not to go there again. Chuan reassured her that he wouldn't, with a slight smile. His mother beamed, affectionately calling him my boy. Suddenly, a furious voice shouted for Yuan, demanding he come out. Chuan's father, startled, asked who was there. Lu Xing, furious, confronted Chuan's father, accusing Chuan of stealing his Jinglong's green peak saber. Chuan's father, bewildered, faced Lu Xing, his voice laced with confusion and concern, asking if there was some mistake. He explained that Lu Xing was a childhood acquaintance, now a moderately famous professional, and that their paths had diverged significantly due to their vastly different statuses. He insisted, however, that Chuan was just a pig butcher and couldn't possibly have stolen Lu Xing's son's saber. His father questioned how his son could possibly steal a spirit weapon, trying to make sense of the accusation. Suddenly, a younger man, pointing directly at Chuan, shouted, Dad. That's him, causing Chuan to flinch. Lu Xing, angered, chastised Chuan's father, calling him muddle-headed and questioning his parenting for allowing his son to steal from others. Lu Xing declared he had already confirmed the incident with Principal Zhao Ming and demanded Chuan's father ask his son if it had happened or not. Chuan's father, looking distressed and anxious, turned to his son, asking what was really going on. Lu Xing then revealed his side, stating that Chuan had tried to kill him and that he had only taken Chuan's saber, claiming Chuan had gotten off easy considering the circumstances. Chuan, looking somewhat defiant, denied trying to kill Lu Xing, insisting he only wanted to spar with him. Lu Xing, trying to de-escalate but still firm, told Chuan that out of respect for his father, he wouldn't pursue the matter further if Chuan would just hand over the saber. Chuan looked surprised for a moment before stating simply, the saber has already been sold. Lu Xing was visibly taken aback by this revelation, his expression shifting to one of utter disbelief. He repeated the word in disbelief, his eyes wide. The others present also reacted with shock and astonishment to Chuan's statement. Lu Xing, with a look of utter disbelief, exclaimed, sold? Lu Xing, his face contorted in a furious demand, insisted on compensation, his voice booming as he declared the sum to be 1 million. Chuan's father, stunned, countered that the amount was exorbitant, explaining that a low-tier spirit weapon was worth a mere 200,000. Lu Xing's expression turned colder, his demeanor dismissing any notion of negotiation. He was clearly not in the mood to haggle. He clarified with chilling finality that he wasn't there to negotiate, his tone leaving no room for doubt or defiance. Chuan's father, though clearly outmatched, agreed to pay, his voice laced with apprehension as he tried to buy time. He explained that 1 million was no small sum and that they would need time to gather it, before turning to Lu Xing, his childhood friend, and warning him that if he couldn't discipline his own son, he would teach him a lesson himself. Lu Xing, unmoved, gave him half a month to collect the money, making it clear that he would not hesitate to resort to hostility if they failed to meet his demand. Back home, a sense of unease settled over the family as the protagonist's mother asked the inevitable question, what were they going to do now? The protagonist's mother reminded her husband that Lu Xing was his childhood friend and urged him to go and beg Lu Xing properly. The protagonist's father, though resigned to bringing pork as a peace offering, reassured his son, telling him not to worry and that he would handle the situation. He then turned to his son, Chuan, and told him not to worry, stating that it wasn't his fault. He expressed his hope that Chuan would share any future difficulties with them, rather than carrying them all by himself. Chuan, determined to resolve the crisis, resolved to acquire a spirit weapon and reach the climbing pond realm, believing that Lu Xing would then be no match for him. He looked forward with a newfound sense of purpose. His mother, noticing his unusual success with the valuable blood crystal twin flower, questioned how a mere pig butcher could have obtained it. Chuan, realizing he could no longer hide his peculiarity, confessed to his parents that he wasn't normal. His parents, taken aback, looked at him with a mixture of concern and confusion, asking for clarification. His mother, trying to understand, asked if he didn't like women. His mother, determined to be supportive, reassured him that she was open-minded and encouraged him to pursue his happiness, whatever that might be. His father added that as long as he stayed away from him, it was fine, to which Chuan could only react with utter bewilderment. Chuan, flustered, clarified that he didn't like women, and he didn't like men either. He tried to explain his peculiar condition, that he saw all living creatures as pigs. His parents stared in disbelief, struggling to comprehend his confession. His father, his mind racing, connected the dots. Chuan was a pig butcher, had a mental condition, and saw all creatures as pigs. He explained that this meant Chuan could treat every creature as a pig and kill it. His mother, catching on, agreed, suggesting that this meant Chuan could be counted as a skilled fighter. His parents, having heard his peculiar confession, concluded that he was indeed suited for combat, with his mother exclaiming that he was certainly a combat class. His father then decided it was time to pass on his own skills, beckoning Xiao Chuan to follow him, explaining that his own years of pig butchery had led him to develop a unique blade technique. As they walked, the night air was filled with a sense of anticipation for what was to come, the silhouette of a staircase leading up a mountain visible ahead. The father explained that he would teach him now, so that he could defend himself should anyone ever threaten his life again. Xiao Chuan, bewildered by the looming debt, questioned why his father would still teach him, his expression a mixture of confusion and concern. His father, with a comforting gaze, reassured him that while the debt was substantial, it was insignificant compared to his son's safety. He then declared that the path to mastery was simple, just like pig killing, and told Xiao Chuan to watch closely as he would only demonstrate 3 strikes, raising his immense cleaver. The scene transitioned to a mountainous landscape under a starry sky, the father's stern face filling the frame. The father stood ready, his stance firm, a mystical aura beginning to surround him. He let out a guttural cry as he began to move, his stance shifting with primal energy. The sound of his movements was like a fierce gust of wind, his face contorted in a fierce battle cry. A powerful cleaving motion followed, the air around him shimmering with unseen energy. His grip tightened on his weapon, preparing for the first strike, the world around them seeming to bend to his will. The air crackled with unseen energy as the father prepared to unleash his first technique. A primal roar escaped him as he gathered his power. He announced the name of the first strike, Falling Star. The energy gathered around his blade intensified, crackling with raw power. He then prepared to unleash the second technique, his body coiling like a spring. A sharp, piercing sound accompanied his readiness, the energy swirling around him like a vortex. He executed a powerful, arcing movement, the celestial backdrop of the night sky seeming to amplify the display. The swirling energy around him transformed into a brilliant cyan light. He launched himself into the air, weapon held high, channeling immense power. The second strike was named Falling Moon. Xiao Chuan, witnessing this, exclaimed his amazement, his eyes wide with disbelief. He could barely comprehend the power his father wielded, declaring it insane. His father explained that the strange spatial distortions were merely a trick of the light, and then he announced the name of the third strike. The protagonist's father's face showed a hint of a smile as he prepared to demonstrate the final, most devastating technique. The air crackled with energy as the father focused his power, a dark aura gathering around his grip. The name of the third strike was revealed, a name that pulsed with raw power. He called it the Devouring Sun. A blinding flash erupted from the father's blade as he executed the move. The sheer force of the strike sent shockwaves through the environment, a testament to its devastating power. Xiao Chuan, wide-eyed, asked his father if this technique was truly meant for slaughtering pigs, even joking if it was for the famous Pixie from Journey to the West. His father, with a stern but encouraging gaze, told him not to ask questions and just to learn it, assuring him he would use it one day. Xiao Chuan vowed to learn it well. Noticing Xiao Chuan's broken blade, his father told him to use his own heavy blade for now, since Xiao Chuan's was no longer usable. The sound of metal slicing through the air was sharp and powerful as the father handed over his weapon. As Xiao Chuan gripped the replacement blade, he immediately felt its immense weight, a stark contrast to his own. His father, having imparted his knowledge, told Xiao Chuan to train hard and announced he was going back to sleep. Xiao Chuan marveled at his father's strength, wondering if he had truly used such a heavy blade for pig slaughter all these years, calling out Gu Xing, in disbelief. He began to practice, swinging the massive blade with all his might, the sheer effort evident. His father's voice echoed, telling him that the falling star and these 3 strikes would be enough to defeat even heaven's chosen once he reached the realm of Seal Kings.